The story opens amidst a terrifying battle against the threat of the Pisces cult. A hero named Genius had to make the difficult decision to sacrifice his life and soul, asking his comrade Eunomia to sing in order to hold back the monsters. His soul then transformed into a seal within an ancient book. Time passed to the present day. In a city newly leveled by war, a girl named Faria stood amidst the devastation. Feeling she had arrived too late to save the residents, she began to sing a melancholic song to offer peace to those who had fallen in battle. Shortly after, her companion Ellen arrived and informed her that they hadn't found a single successor left in the area. They immediately departed. At the same time, in another city, a young man named Nemo, the protagonist, found himself slightly injured. Faria and Ellen, currently riding in a train, saw from a distance that the city of Hulu was engulfed in flames. Seeing the sight, Faria steeled her resolve, deciding that this time she would not let the monsters bring destruction and flatten the place. Meanwhile, Nemo was hiding. From his vantage point, he observed a bizarre horror. Whenever the monsters killed people, the corpses of the residents instantly transformed into new monsters, causing the enemy forces to multiply continuously. Nemo thought there was nothing he could do, having no way to defend himself. Suddenly, one of the destructive monsters breached his hiding spot. Nemo was forced out, but in an instant he was surrounded by dozens of creatures. Just when Nemo thought his life was about to end, the train carrying Faria and Ellen arrived in the nick of time. Faria leaped from the train, using her lightning magic to wipe out many of the creatures while shouting at Nemo to find a safe place. Nemo tried to move but ended up standing back to back with Faria. Realizing there were too many enemies, Faria announced she had to use her secret weapon and pulled out a summoning card. Once activated, her armor and stats boosted immensely. Her movement speed increased instantly, and she successfully struck down every creature surrounding them. Noticing the uniform Nemo was wearing, Faria asked if he was going to enroll in the famous Grand Academy. Nemo answered yes. With tears welling in her eyes, Faria felt incredibly happy because she had managed to save at least his life, having initially thought everyone in the city was dead. Nemo was brought inside the train and offered coffee and muffins. Taking a sip, Nemo found the coffee extremely bitter, as it was his first time ever trying it. Nemo asked if Faria was alright, as she had taken a hit from a monster earlier. Calmly, Faria replied that she was already used to combat wounds. When Nemo asked why she saved him, Faria explained her philosophy. If she could save at least one life, her job was done, because it would be far worse to arrive and find no one surviving. Faria also shared the grave news that besides Nemo's city, 5 other cities had been attacked by these creatures of destruction. Faria explained that her power came from an ancient heroine who once saved the world, named Eunomia. She recounted the history of how, long ago, an evil deity brought the world to ruin, but several heroes chosen by God appeared to protect it. Today, the people who inherit the powers of those heroes are called successors. Faria explained that the students of Grand Academy had a duty to protect the world from Pisces, a cult that worshipped the deity of destruction. Nemo was amazed, realizing that starting tomorrow, he would be part of that academy. Faria congratulated him, noting he had potential, and saying that in time he would come to know himself and could even become stronger than her. Their conversation was cut short when the train took a massive hit from a creature of destruction, derailing after a second strike. After a few seconds of recovering from his injuries, Nemo stood up and rushed over to Faria, who had managed to brace against the impact. As the monster approached, she took a combat stance, deflecting a highly powerful beam fired by the creature. Declaring herself the leader of the 7 knights, she charged forward, dodged an attack, and delivered a powerful blow that split the monster in 2. However, the monster regenerated completely and managed to strike Nemo. Realizing her attacks were ineffective, she felt cornered. She drove her weapon into the ground to create a protective barrier. She then ordered him to take Ellen and flee to a station at least 1 mile away. He was terrified, knowing she would die if left behind. She firmly stated that since joining Granzid, she knew the risk of losing her life on a mission, and she preferred that they escape so they wouldn't all die together. Suddenly, a card with a purple aura appeared in front of Nemo, leaving her deeply shocked. He touched the card, and his body was transported to an alternate dimension. He felt a strange sensation in his stomach, and heard the voice of a goddess, who introduced herself as the guardian of the garden they were in. The goddess asked if he had a wish. He asked for the strength to save them. The goddess warned him that everything in life has a price. Without hesitation, he felt the only thing he could offer was his life. The goddess double-checked. Was he truly willing to give his life for a girl he had just met? He confirmed it without a second thought. After a few seconds, the goddess accepted his request. The card reappeared. Upon touching it, he was transported to another dimension where he met a man named Genius, one of the original heroes who had once saved the world. Without saying much, Genius told him to return, as he would now possess his power to stop evil. Back in the real world, the monster broke through the barrier and hurled a train car at Faria. Just in time, Nemo appeared and shielded her. She was stunned to see his hand transform into a soul weapon. The heroine Eunomia spoke to her, assuring her to stay calm because he had now become a hero and their ally. He retrieved her weapon from the ground and charged at the enemy. She shouted at him to synchronize with his hero. As he charged, he heard his hero's soul begin to guide him. He landed a devastating blow, and she immediately followed up with a finishing thrust of her lance. Once the monster was dead, she thanked him for saving her life. They shook hands, agreeing to work together from now on. A few hours later, they arrived at the academy. Ellen immediately excused herself to file a report on the train incident. Nemo asked if they were in trouble, but she assured him that lives were far more important than material losses. They were interrupted by the arrival of a young man named Joe, who was carrying a frozen dragon, a beast that had previously caused chaos in another city. She explained that he was the successor of the hero Spike, and a member of the Seven Knights. After a brief chat, he excused himself to hand the dragon over to the researchers before the ice could melt. The successor group, the Seven Knights, were waiting for their leader when Faria arrived with Nemo. She immediately introduced him as a new student, and the newest member of the Seven Knights. Everyone was shocked, including him. Many immediately objected, refusing to believe an inexperienced new student could be made their teammate. Joe chimed in, stating that a successor must be extremely strong. She understood their concerns but revealed the fact that in his very first battle, he had managed to make a contract with the hero Genius. This shocked everyone even more, as none of them had ever experienced such a rare anomaly. A member named Gildan became highly enthusiastic, considering it incredible. Another member, Gareth, asked what his hero looked like. He replied that he had only heard his voice and knew absolutely nothing about his identity. Although the other members still harbored doubts, she explained that her hero, Eunomia, said he could be trusted. Ultimately, they had no choice but to accept him. She then asked Joe to show him around the academy, praising him as the strongest and most popular student. Flattered, he accepted the task. While walking around, he humbly referred to himself as a nobody. Joe immediately scolded him, saying that as a member of the Seven Knights, he shouldn't say such things. He pointed to the statues of the original heroes, explaining that inheriting their power meant making oneself worthy to protect the people. Nemo argued that he didn't understand all this, because in his eyes, neither the Academy nor Pisces truly knew what they were fighting to defend. Joe grew angry at his words. Suddenly, they were interrupted by a woman named Sophie. Sophie introduced herself as the Academy's librarian, explaining that she maintained the historical records of the ancient heroes. She went into detail. When someone makes a pact with a hero, a portion of their soul merges with the hero's soul. That is why they are called successors, and some of them are even guided directly by the hero. After wishing them the best, she left. Joe felt incredibly proud just to speak with her, but quickly refocused on finishing the academy tour and dropping Nemo off at his dorm. He was highly surprised to find out he would be living in the exact same building as Faria. That night, while Joe was training, the hero Spike appeared and warned him not to hold any grudges against Nemo, as it could lead to his own downfall. He refused to hate him, stating he was solely focused on getting stronger. At the dorm, Nemo felt awkward having coffee with the girls, as she explained that only the three of them, he, she, and Ellen, lived in that dorm. He felt this was special treatment. She calmed him down, saying that making a contract with a hero without the Academy Library's help was an anomaly, which was why he was being given special privileges. He simply replied that he had followed his instincts when the card appeared, and she reassured him that he would definitely find a way to contribute. The next day, Nemo attended a history class where the professor recounted the heroic tales he already knew. A zoning out Nemo only thought about how he could contribute. After class, he ran into Gareth. Gareth asked him for a favor to drop off a flask at the alchemy lab because he felt uncomfortable going there. He agreed. At the lab, he was greeted by a girl named Claire, who acted like a fanatic fangirl, begging him to pass her greetings to Gareth. He instantly understood why Gareth was reluctant to come. Just as Joe arrived at the lab, a loud explosion echoed. They ran outside and saw that the dragon Joe had brought in yesterday was still alive, and its ice had melted. Seeing Sophie in danger, Joe activated his hero's power, charged the dragon, and yelled at Nemo to take Sophie and the other students to a safe place. He slashed the dragon and thought he had killed it, but the beast regenerated and grew 2 new heads. The hero Spike warned him that this was the power of Pisces. The dragon was now much stronger. The dragon attacked Joe relentlessly. Nemo returned and told him to fall back, but he refused, stating the city would be destroyed if he retreated. Remembering her words that they must always protect others, he picked up a sword from the ground, activated his power, and charged. Using his weapon, he struck the creature's entire body and yelled for Joe to freeze it while it couldn't move. Joe complied and began freezing the dragon. Due to their close proximity, Nemo started taking friendly fire from his ice attacks. He told him to let go, believing the dragon was frozen enough. However, the hero genius suddenly spoke to him, explaining that the dragon didn't actually possess a life. It was moving purely because it was controlled by Pisces' magic. After Joe froze it completely down to its core, a single thrust from him successfully killed the dragon. He immediately fainted from exhaustion and the overuse of his powers. After the incident, Joe approached Nemo and shared his past. His village was once attacked by Pisces monsters, and his father, who was a successor, died protecting him. For that reason, he was determined to fight for others even if it meant sacrificing his life. He declared he wanted to become stronger alongside people like Nemo, who had proven they weren't afraid to risk their lives for others. The following day, all the hero members held a meeting. They realized that Pisces-modified monsters were attacking the villages more frequently. They also reminded everyone that Gran still possessed immense power and was funded by many countries, so they could not afford to lose to the enemy. Faria expressed her firm belief that if they worked together, they would secure victory. Right before the meeting adjourned, Faria announced that she had prepared homemade food for everyone. Her friends showed an unenthusiastic response because she only ever made croquettes, and it was the only dish she knew how to cook. However, he tried the croquettes for the first time and was completely captivated by their delicious taste. Hours later, he went out with his teammates. Joe publicly praised him, telling everyone that he was an incredible person and that he finally understood why she had backed him up so strongly. Everyone agreed, as he had recounted the details of the dragon fight. A while later, he was lost in thought in the garden when, in a parallel moment, Joe was joking around with Gildan. He playfully teased that if he didn't train him, the newcomer was going to surpass him. He was visibly unhappy about the joke, prompting him to apologize for touching on a sensitive subject before heading off to complete several hours of training. Left alone, he pressured himself, thinking he could not allow a newcomer to surpass him in strength. He then pulled out what appeared to be a photo of his family. The following morning, Nemo woke up from a terrible nightmare in which the academy was engulfed in flames. She rushed in to alert him that he needed to get ready quickly because they had an emergency deployment. The heroes traveled in a flying ship, explaining to him that the Empire's Academy had requested their help. They detailed that whenever local forces or the Empire's Academy couldn't handle a monster, they submitted a request to the Grand's Magic Academy. They arrived at a city that was under attack by dozens of monsters. They realized the creatures were heading toward the ancient ruins, and had already managed to break part of the city's ancient silver clock. As the group arrived, they leaped from the ship, activating their powers, and immediately began exterminating the monsters. She took charge, coordinating with the local authorities. She called Ellen, as there were many wounded, and she had medical expertise. The rest of the team fought relentlessly, demonstrating the immense power inherited from their ancestral heroes. A heroine who hadn't been mentioned before, named Shirley, launched a massive attack that wiped out many of the creatures. Gildan, meanwhile, was fighting off several monsters. Just as he was about to finish off the last one, his hero Jabe warned him to stop, because he was running out of mana, and it could be dangerous. Ignoring the advice, he charged and sliced the creature, but it didn't die. Instead, the creature grabbed him and tossed him aside. Nemo intervened just in time to save him, and Joe told him to rest. He pinned the creature down, allowing Joe to finish it off with a powerful ice attack. After several minutes, they successfully eliminated every single monster, leaving everyone relieved. Hours later, the team returned to the academy, and Sophie healed him. However, he remained frustrated and decided to go back out to train. Nemo spoke with Joe, who confessed he had made a mistake with his joke earlier. Realizing his words had placed a heavier burden on Gildan, he revealed that he was actually a prince, and many people held incredibly high expectations of him. Simultaneously, while he was training, his body suddenly began to undergo a rapid mutation. This triggered an explosion that he and Joe felt immediately. Elsewhere, Faria was delivering a report on the city they had just defended. She mentioned that the monsters had recently been focusing entirely on destroying the clocks of the cities. The commander thanked her for the report and asked her to keep a close eye on him. As she and Ellen were leaving, Shirley arrived to deliver urgent news regarding Gildan. His group arrived at the scene to find that he had transformed into a monstrous creature. Gareth explained that the cards they use help control their power. but if a successor's power exceeds their limits, they can mutate into these monsters. Joe stepped forward, stating he would take care of it to save him. However, he immediately stepped between them, knowing that Joe meant he was going to kill him, as it was believed that once transformed, the damage was irreversible. The monstrous Gildan struck him, and the rest of the team prepared to attack. Joe felt terrible, not wanting to murder his friend. Getting back up, he declared he had a plan to save him. Inside his mind, he was trapped in a tormented space where people continuously pressured him to be someone important and save the world. Back in reality, he pinned his monstrous body down with his weapon. Joe landed a punch that began to freeze his body, but Spike told him to stop, insisting that a possessed hero was beyond saving. To everyone's shock, the monstrous body began to speak. He thanked everyone and begged them to end his life, believing there was no turning back. Instead, he spoke words that put him into a trance, similar to the state he was in when he spoke with his own hero. Gildan's hero Jabe told him to stop resisting, and freed him from the torment that was plaguing him. This allowed him to ask his teammates to break him free, as he would be able to resist without falling entirely to Pisces. The team attacked the monstrous exterior to contain it, and he seized the opportunity to physically separate his body from the monster. This created a massive flash of light seen by everyone. Their plan worked. He was completely freed and thanked everyone for saving him. Joe apologized to his friend for failing to express himself properly the other day, and he accepted the apology. Exhausted from the ordeal, both of them passed out on the spot. Hours later, he woke up to a surprise. Faria was asleep, slumped over his bed. She had been taking care of him the entire time. When she woke up, they talked about the incident, and she confirmed that Gildan was alive. She then scolded him, deeply worried because he had almost died taking such reckless risks. This embarrassed him, but it made him realize how much she truly cared about him. He tried to get up, but an overprotective Faria refused to let him, declaring that while he recovered, she would be solely responsible for taking care of him. Meanwhile, Gildan felt a bit jealous because he was being looked after by men, whereas Nemo had girls nursing him. Gareth asked him about the incident, but he claimed he couldn't remember anything before waking up. Joe asked if the whole situation seemed strange, and Gareth confirmed it did. He explained that bodily possessions were common for normal people, but for heroes of their caliber, the situation was entirely different. He theorized that someone inside the academy might be involved in orchestrating these events, noting that the ice dragon had also revived right after Joe brought it in. The conversation was interrupted by screaming. Faria had tried to cook, but it resulted in a complete disaster, so she simply brought him more croquettes. He was very happy, as he genuinely liked them. They were interrupted by the arrival of her cat. He tried to pet it, but the cat grew angry at him. She found this highly unusual, as the cat was normally exceedingly calm. Over the next few days, she dedicated herself entirely to caring for him. Eventually, Ellen came by to remind her that she needed to continue her research on the destroyed clocks. Seeing that she was weak from a lack of sleep due to caring for him, Ellen urged her not to overexert herself. Once she left, he asked Ellen why she worked so hard and worried so much about him. Ellen explained that she was a descendant of the legendary heroine Eunomia, and since childhood, she had dedicated her entire life to training and strengthening herself to uphold her heroine's name. He thought she was admirable and felt she shouldn't waste so much time on him. But Ellen made it clear that she considered him incredibly important, because he was the sole survivor of the attack on his city. She felt a heavy responsibility to care for him, almost like a mother. He felt sad, viewing himself as a burden to her. Later, the entire group of heroes visited him. A very happy Gildan thanked him for everything, and teased him, saying he looked like her pet, since she took care of him more than anyone else. He was about to mention her cat, but she immediately stopped him. They were interrupted when Sophie arrived, making Joe very nervous, indicating he had a crush on her. Gareth had prepared an elven medicine for him so he could recover much faster, stating they needed him back as soon as possible. Sophie mentioned she just came to check on him, and would be in the library if they needed anything. The boys stayed behind to keep him company, and played cards. Gildan ended up losing to him, and was completely disappointed. As they talked about communicating with their heroes, he admitted he still couldn't speak normally with Genius, explaining he could only hear his voice on rare occasions. The team was confused, as it was perfectly normal for heroes to converse directly with them, especially since the heroes were the ones granting them power. Believing there was something highly abnormal about this, they recommended he speak with Sophie, as she had all the information on the heroes. Shirley suddenly interrupted them, stating they couldn't be wasting time. Even if they had a little spare time, they needed to be doing other tasks, as their situation with Pisces was critical. She took the blame, saying it was her idea to cheer him up. Shirley left, leaving everyone deep in thought. However, before entering, she had been eavesdropping and heard that he couldn't speak to his hero. This gave her a bad feeling about him, and she resolved to consult the group about something later. A while later, he and she were walking through the residence when they spotted the cat. She panicked because pets were not allowed in the dorms, which was exactly why they had been hiding it. They tried to grab the cat, but it ran off, stopping near the stairs just as Shirley was walking up. He and she pretended to be exercising to block Shirley's view of the cat. When she looked away, the cat moved, allowing them to escape undetected. This made her even more suspicious, believing they were definitely hiding something. After chasing the cat for hours, it got stuck on the roof. He climbed up to get it but slipped. Disregarding his own safety, he lunged and rescued the animal, but ended up dangling from the edge. She managed to grab his hand. He told her he didn't want to be a burden, but she insisted he wasn't, saying she wanted them to be friends. At that moment, she slipped, and his hero manifested. Without saying a single word, Genius lent his power, allowing him to pull them both to safety. He realized that even though Genius wouldn't speak to him, the hero was indirectly giving him the access and power to do what he wanted. The next morning, while getting ready for the academy, she was singing and remembered a conversation with Eunomia. The goddess had warned her that despite her doubts about him, major problems were approaching, and since the kids were heroes, they were the only ones who could solve them. Meanwhile, he went straight to Sophie, determined to learn more about the hero possessing him. Sophie seemed prepared, as if she knew he would come at any moment. He explained he couldn't talk to his hero. After hours of reading through various books, Sophie revealed there was absolutely no trace of the hero who possessed him, which she found extremely bizarre since the library held records of every existing hero. She told him not to get discouraged, promising she would investigate further. He thanked her and said goodbye. Elsewhere, Feria visited Ellen in the infirmary. Ellen had just treated a patient with a vampire bite mark on the neck, noting it was the fourth victim that week, and they still hadn't found the culprit. This angered Shirley, who declared she was going to hunt down the culprit right then. Her subordinate Mina warned her she was pushing herself too hard. She agreed with Mina, suggesting they take things calmly. He immediately volunteered to help Shirley. Shirley initially disliked the idea, but she approved it without hesitation. Hours later, Mina ran into him, introducing herself as a member of the disciplinary committee. She thanked him for taking the initiative to help, explaining they were overworked and had lost several committee members. Shortly after, he joined Shirley to review some documents. She appreciated his help due to the staff shortage, but bluntly asked if he was hiding something. She noted he seemed like an innocent person who knew nothing about the academy or the original 7 Knights. She made it clear that regardless of his reasons, she only wanted them to work together for the good of the academy. He then went to Claire to research vampires. She explained they were an ordinary race like elves, but possessed the power to turn others by biting them, which might be why they were seen more often in the world. She handed him a book containing all the information on their existence. Just then Mina entered the room, and he decided to accompany her on a walk through the city. Mina confessed there were rumors that Shirley was a vampire, pointing out that all the recent vampire victims had just joined Shirley's squad. She looked very sad, refusing to believe her partner could be a vampire. He gave her words of encouragement, telling her she could count on him for whatever she needed. Taking advantage of this, she said she wanted to investigate a place on the outskirts of the city. They headed there immediately, and stumbled upon a shocking scene. Shirley was drinking blood from Ellen's neck. Because Mina stepped on a branch, Shirley moved toward the sound to attack, but discovering it was them, she hastily fled. He decided to follow her. She stopped, even though she was alone again. Her heroine, named Rachel, appeared before her, telling her she needed to take control and learn to use the flames inside her. He arrived with his power activated, catching up to her. Without a second thought, he asked if she was a vampire. Unable to deny it, she admitted she was. She explained she didn't want to hurt her comrades, and thought her bites wouldn't have negative effects like the ones Ellen had to treat. She activated her heroine power and told him to step aside, or she would have to kill him. They began to fight, but he only defended himself, explaining he didn't want to fight her. She shared that vampires had been feared their entire lives, even when they weren't hostile. She recounted watching her parents get murdered by villagers, despite causing no harm. Breaking down in tears, she said that if everyone discovered her existence, they would likely turn against her. After blocking her final attack, he told her he knew she wanted to be with all of them, and if she didn't tell anyone, there would be no reason to run away. Grateful that he would keep her secret, she thanked him. They moved to another area, and the girl asked him if Mina understood all this. He replied that she very likely did. They were interrupted when they saw Pisces monsters carrying Helen through the air. They followed the trail to an abandoned church, where they found her, and her entangled in vines on the ceiling. At that moment it was revealed that she was also a vampire like her, except she worked for Pisces. She grew worried, realizing that like Mina, there must be other infiltrators in the academy. Several monsters attacked him, but he and she killed them instantly. She asked what Pisces' motive was, and she revealed they wanted to destroy the world to create a new one. She doubted they could achieve this, but she said they only needed to gather strength and eliminate the 7 knights so the deity of destruction could create the new world she longed for. She invited her to join her, but she instantly refused, stating she now had friends she had to defend, all thanks to the words he had spoken to her minutes prior. Realizing this, she decided she would have to take her by force. Moving with incredible speed, she landed a heavy blow on her and sent him flying with a powerful strike. They began to fight. Despite him not wanting to hurt her, he ended up severing one of her limbs. Surprised, she grew a mutant arm using the power of Pisces, launched herself at him, and landed a hit. The girl looked very confident, but Shirley appeared and activated her heroine power. After blocking her attack, she conjured flames that caused massive damage, noting that fire was the only thing capable of severely harming vampires. Despite this, she boasted it wouldn't be easy to kill her, because she clearly possessed regenerative abilities. Watching them both, he realized this scenario was exactly like the nightmare he had days before. At that moment his hero appeared right behind him, telling him he must forge his heart's desire, using the power they both shared. He had an idea. He asked her to envelop her in flames so she couldn't escape. She charged, and when she least expected it, she activated her Flame Phoenix ability, embracing her as they were both engulfed in fire. Suddenly, he transformed his arm into a highly powerful cannon, determined to end the evil in this world. She pulled away just in time for him to fire. Taking a direct cannon blast from him, she vanished completely. Both he and she were left deeply saddened, as they had cared for the girl and considered her a friend. Following the discovery of Mina's betrayal, they searched her room and found she was investigating an academy myth. The books and information focused on the ghost of the old library. Later, while Sophie was talking with Gareth, she explained that many academy records were lost in a fire at the old library. She mentioned the former librarian raised suspicions of being a double agent for Pisces, and rumors claimed his ghost still haunted the academy grounds. Gareth left, and Claire arrived to hand him a book containing information about the old library. Gareth thanked her for everything and departed. A long while later, he was walking with her, noticing that everyone in the academy was highly spirited. She explained that a festival was approaching, which was why everyone was so happy. Claire arrived to help them open a stuck door, and the girls explained the concept of love to Nemo, as he had never had a partner. Claire confessed she was in love with Gareth, saying her heart raced, and she felt immense admiration every time she thought of him. However, her self-esteem was so low she believed he would never notice her for the upcoming school dance. Nemo and Faria encouraged her to be brave, saying she had nothing to lose by asking him out. Motivated, she decided she would invite him even if she failed. She asked Faria if she had someone to invite as well. Catching Faria looking at Nemo out of the corner of her eye, Claire told her to be brave and do it too, before bidding them both goodbye. Later, Nemo was talking with his friends and teased Joe, saying he still hadn't asked Sophie out. Joe got nervous, and Nemo was direct, saying he knew Joe clearly liked her. Joe tried to mock Gildan, but Gildan produced a massive stack of letters from girls who had asked him out. Finally, Joe asked Nemo if he had invited Faria to the dance, but Nemo played dumb, acting like he didn't know what they were talking about. They were interrupted when Shirley arrived and asked Nemo if he already had a partner for the dance. Hearing a negative response, she boldly asked if he would grant her the honor of being his dance partner. The boys were left in complete shock, having never seen her behave this way. She told him she would give him time to decide, and left. When the boys asked if something had happened between them, he recalled how she had embraced him in flames during the fight, so he simply replied he couldn't tell them because it was a secret. A long while later, the 7 heroes met in a school council meeting to plan activities for the dance. After hearing several options, an annoyed Gareth felt it was a waste of time, arguing they barely had any information on Pisces to be worrying about such nonsense. He told them to do whatever they wanted and left the room. The others commented that his reaction was normal, given that Pisces had destroyed his old village and killed many of his loved ones, justifying his deep hatred. Outside, she approached him, telling him she might have found something for his research in the old alchemy research building. He thanked her, saying he didn't know how to repay her for everything she had done. Gathering her courage, she proposed that the only thing she could ask for was for him to accompany her to the dance. After thinking for a few seconds, he accepted, leaving the girl completely overjoyed. A few days later, the Academy Festival finally arrived. The 7 knights decided to open and manage a cafeteria for their class activity. This cafeteria was run directly by all of them. So many visitors and fans who admired them felt incredibly happy to be served personally by the heroes. Seeing the bustling atmosphere of the cafeteria, he told her that the place looked very beautiful. He felt at peace knowing that for a moment, they didn't have to worry about fighting monsters. Taking advantage of this moment alone, she made her move, inviting him to go to the dance with her. However, Faria was surprised when Nemo informed her that Shirley had already asked him. At that exact moment, she appeared beside them. She looked proud hearing that he had not yet given her a yes. She even pressured him, stating that it was the perfect time for him to make a decision regarding her proposal. Both girls began to pressure him from both sides. Fortunately, one of their friends suddenly asked him to deliver a food order to her, the librarian. Using that excuse, he managed to escape the tight situation. He brought the food to her in the library, and used this opportunity to clear the doubts in his heart. He asked her if feeling admiration for someone was love. He admitted he had seen how she and he behaved when they were lovesick, but he felt his situation was very different from theirs. She smiled and told him that this confusion was a part of adolescence, and that love could present itself in many forms. She also shared a profound perspective. A person could even love more than one person, but they would most likely have different priorities of affection. This advice left him deep in thought. After a while, he returned to the cafeteria. His male friends informed him that she had just gone to the student council room. His friends immediately teased him, calling him Don Juan, as they had all clearly seen how the 2 tough girls were fighting over him earlier. Nemo then went to see Shirley and suggested an idea. He mentioned that it would be better if she invited her to the dance, as he had noticed that she was always secretly staring at her. She admitted this was true, but she was pessimistic. She felt her relationship would be unrequited because, even though she needed her blood to live as a vampire, she had never taken the initiative to seek her out first. Knowing that he had gently rejected her by telling her to go with her, she stated she would cancel her plans and not dance with anyone. However, he repeated her words of advice to her, that everyone shows love in different ways. Hearing this, she reflected. She started thinking about positive things regarding her that she had never realized before. She finally thanked him. She suggested that he should just go with her, while she was determined to invite her. He and she then waited outside the student council room. Just as Faria and Ellen walked out, Shirley boldly proposed to Ellen to be her dance partner. Hours later at the dance, she accepted her invitation, just as he ended up dancing with her. Amidst the music, he looked at his teammates and told her that he was very grateful and happy to have met her and all his friends at the academy. At the same time, Claire was in the old library, looking for something useful for Gareth's research. While exploring the room, she accidentally fell to an underground floor that hadn't been explored in years. Using her magic to open a door, she was amazed to see that no one had ever investigated the place. She didn't care what dangers lay inside, she only wanted to get something for him. She went deeper and found an ancient book that emitted a kind of curse. However, she decided to take the book.